Okay, nako Friday evening ho ngayon. Magandang gabi ho sa inyo lahat. Welcome ho sa ating program. Ako po si Sunny Laragan on a Friday. It's the 25th of September. Yan, 2020 ho. At medyo malamig ho ngayon. Medyo talaga nagsisimula na ho, no? Palamig na ng palamig, no? Headed towards winter. Nasa early stages tayo ng autumn, no? At ayan, ngayon medyo maraming mga pagbabago ngayon, maraming mga paghihigpit ho ngayon dahil sa hindi ho pa nasusolusyonan, no, itong problema natin sa pandemic, sa COVID, no. At ito'y problema hindi lang ho rito sa United Kingdom, kundi maging sa iba't ibang bahagi ho ng Europa at mundo, no. Ito'y kakaibang eksperyensa para sa ating lahat. Pero tonight, no, ayan, nakikita nyo, hindi ho The Sunny Laragan Show. Normally, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday ho, at The Sunny Laragan Show. Kanya nga lang, ngayon ho, meron tayong special night dahil hindi ho natin nakasama yung ating pinakamamahal na abogada. Ito pinakihintay ho ninyo. No? Marami ho na itong mga tagahanga dito sa apat na sulok ng United Kingdom. Hindi lang sa United Kingdom, kundi sa buong Europa rin. Siyempre dahil napapanood tayo sa iba't ibang bahagi ho ng Europa. Siyempre, ang star of the show, pakikilala ko no, mga kaibigan, walang iba kundi yung ating pinakamamahal na batang-batang abogado, no? Abogada, brains and beauty ho to, at napakabatang tingnan ho, no? Walang iba kundi si Attorney DANNA QUINTO. Attorney, magandang gabi sa iyo.
Magandang gabi, Mr. Laragan. Good evening, United Kingdom. Good evening, Europe. Sabi mo nga, ang lamig. Kanina, nakalimutan ko yung quote ko. At talagang naramdaman mo that the change in weather has really been drastic today. I think chinek ko nga was you were saying about the weather. It's the lowest 5 degrees Celsius dito sa Bedford. So that's pretty cold. That's absolutely absolutely for me that's freezing already. So kanina paglabas ko.
Okay, yeah, sa Bedford 5 degrees, no? Malamig-lamig na yan.
5 degrees is low. I don't know if it's about 10 degrees at the moment, but proper English, yung tinatawag natin proper English weather, may ulan, may wind, at malamig. So kasama ng mga restrictions this week, you were telling about developments dito sa United Kingdom para lang i-share sa mga kababayan natin sa Europe kung kamusta tayo dito. It's been quite an interesting week. Madaming mga regulasyon na paghihigpit ng regulation si Prime Minister Boris Johnson.
Yes.
It's been quite a week. Pataas ng pataas yung mga cases, and I think that we all have to act responsibly para sa atin lahat.
Exponentially yata.
Lockdown.
Sabi nila exponentially yata, parang aabot ng
60%. 60%, I think. Yeah, 60% this year. Ang R factor natin is 1.2 to 1.5 na. So medyo nerd ako sa numbers eh. So I had a look earlier, and it went into as high as 6,000 cases a day the other day. And grabe, no? I think Cardiff, papunta sa lockdown natin, yung mga kababayan natin sa Cardiff. Papunta sila sa lockdown this Sunday. So,
ingat kayo dyan sa Cardiff. I was listening to the radio the other day, no, sa LBC habang nagdadrive ako. Si Lisa, si Fogarty, I forgot her first name, Sheila Fogarty, something like that, no? At pinag-uusapan nila yung mga restrictions niya, yung ano ba ang contact sports, ano ang bawal, ano allowed, ano yung mga gray areas na tipong, di ba? No? Yun eh. Yung mga yung rule of 6 nga parang gano'n, gusto nilang parang may choir yata sila, paano kung 4 na yon, tapos may pianist, tapos may parang kailangan ma-restrictohan, di ba? So we have some restrictions eh. Yung 6 pa ba? Okay pa ba yan o hindi na?
Buo pa tayo. Ang meron ako nakita sa social media ko, yung 30 sa isang wedding, 30 yung cap noon.
Yes.
Ginawang 15.
Ngayon, ginawa ng 15 na lang ang pwede sa wedding.
Ginawa ng 15. The funeral, and I say with no disrespect, funeral daw is 30 pa rin.
Pa rin.
Okay. Yung nakita ko sa social media, baka naman, bakit daw may disparity.
Oh,
and
bakit daw
gano'n.
masawa?
But,
Hindi kasi siyempre
uh,
funeral eh. Parang mas ano,
funeral,
'di ba?
the final goodbye,
Final
final
goodbye na
goodbye.
yan.
Pwede ka pa
Oo.
namang mag-divorce at
Exactly. Oh, hindi naman si divorce, kundi pwede mo pa reschedule siguro yung kung tipong hindi ka
reschedule,
masaya doon sa
reschedule.
15, o di reschedule mo na lang
Right.
siguro for 20. Teka muna, what do you think? Should people really reschedule yung kanilang wedding? Ang tao ba masyadong excited ba na kailangan ikasal na? Let's say ikaw, for example, whoever, what do you think? Should they opt to parang put it off for a later date? Kasi kung ngayon, baka they wouldn't be happy with just 15 people. Should they put it off
Yeah.
till siguro a year or two from now? Or should people really
I
get
think it
married kung
boils
gusto lang
down
mag-asawa?
it boils down to personal preference kung and kailangan respetuhin yung kanya-kanyang what do you feel is important for you. May iba na talagang right para sa kanila. It's important to have that public declaration ng pagmamahal nila. It's important to have yung lahat complete set of family, and family is more than 15 normally. Um, and wala namang urgency yung situation, and they can carry on as usual. Because they feel maybe it's one time only, and you wanted to have that special day. So, that's equally respectable position about that. And yung iba naman, they feel okay. It's a formality. It's more important to have that commitment now and the public declaration later. So I think it boils down kung ano yung para sa iyo importante. I don't think there's a right answer or wrong answer to it. Spoken like a true lawyer. It
Oo.
depends.
Pe-
It depends, but I think the most important thing for everyone at the moment is to keep safe.
Oo, oo.
Whichever kung ano man yung piliin mo doon, I think it's most important to keep safe kasi hindi lang po ang pinaka for me one of the biggest kumbaga reflection is hindi lang para sa atin. Kumbaga, you take a responsibility kung sa halimbawa sa opisina or with your family, you take responsibility dun sa dinadala mong germs kung sino makakasalimuha mo. So, you think about yung coworker mo, kung may parents ba sila na elderly, kung may anak ba sila na vulnerable. So,
Mm.
in that way, hindi lang dahil, immortal ako o mataas ang immune system ko. It's not just about that. So, there's a lot of reflection kung gaano ka-intermingled yung mga buhay natin and how actually one responsible person or a responsible community can help save us all really from a very very drastic and very problematic situation ng COVID in the next few months. Papunta na sa winter, we all know, we talked about the weather.
Oo.
I think that's the reason why everyone's a little bit anxious, a little bit concerned dahil, alam mo yun,
Oo.
ganitong mga months, Mr. Laragan, may mga sinusitis, may hay
Yes,
fever,
oo,
may
oo, oo.
September flu. Naalala mo ba, may sinasabi, pressure's flu. Diba September, nag-uumpisa yung mga university dito.
Mm.
And they have something that they call pressure's flu. Halos lahat daw ng university students, first year nila, yung first week nila kasi
Mm.
party, orientation, galing sa
Yes.
kung saan.
Oo.
It's quite normal to have what we call pressure's flu. Eh ngayon, medyo yung
Ah,
pressure's flu ay may ibang
from the
variation.
word pressures, ganun? Pressures?
Pressures.
Freshers.
Pressures.
Freshers.
There's fresh
Okay.
intake, pressures,
Okay, okay.
freshmen.
Akala ko
So
naman,
that's the
oo.
common
Oh, that's good.
conceptions in university. So
Okay.
pressures flu. And
Have
you
you
know
ever
about
had, okay, you were talking about flu, di ba, pagka mga winter time, syempre, dahil malamig, di ba, mas
Yeah.
parang susceptible ka sa mga colds and flu, no?
Yeah, yeah.
Ikaw ba, have you ever had a flu job?
Oh yeah. Opo. I'm asthmatic, so I get it for free. They actually ask me to do it every year around October. So, but I've had it a few times. And to be honest, and hindi po ako from medical background, I don't really know if it made a difference because
Really? Whether
I
you had
still
it,
had the flu.
you
Yes.
still had a flu during the winter
I had
time?
it. Yeah, I
Oh,
normally have a big one sa January. Alam ko na yung pattern ko. Every
okay.
January yung big one ko. So around that time when it's really cold, it's really damp, and you're a bit
Mm.
tired from
Mm.
December, that's when immune system is really
Ah,
hard hit by flu. So yung
oh.
ako normally for sure I'll get one. I'll get one sometime in December. I get one usually, a little one pag
Mm.
nag-change yung weather, and then a big one January. So
Oh, yeah.
there's
January,
normally this.
February, yan ang actually time na mas malamig and the snow would fall, no? Heavily. Or you know, 'di
Yeah.
ba? Mas malakas pagka January, February. People think lalo siyempre, no, dahil you picture Christmas with the snow, the winter time. Pero ang pinaka-heaviest talaga January and February,
Kind of
'di ba?
February, yeah.
Oo, tama 'yung ginagawa
Yeah,
mo na nagkakaroon ka ng additional flu job in January.
no, they do it October po,
Oh, pero October, ano
because
'yung sa
it's
January mo?
wala.
Wala. Okay.
Vitamin C.
Okay. All right. I only had it once.
Vitamin C Hallelujah.
I I only had it once. When was this? 2008 siguro 7. Pagkatapos ng hindi ko na naulit, no. But I don't know if I'll have
Mm,
to have it because of the, di ba? Although it
because
doesn't
of it.
how do you call this, protect you from COVID, no? Hindi porke nagkaroon ka ng flu jab, libre ka na. Pero
Yeah.
siguro I think I need to have it, no? For again,
Yeah, I
after
think
10
so.
years
It's worth
yata.
it.
Baka
Yeah,
sakali.
it's worth it.
Oo.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, teka muna, siguro bago mo puntahan yung di-discuss mo, siguro ano lang natin yung mga unang bumati sa atin siguro, attorney, no?
Sige,
Oo, let's
sige.
just say hello to ito, may pagbati ka agad dito muna bago mo discuss yung something about children, no?
Children contact arrangement
Contact during this COVID time, no?
during
Okay.
COVID.
Ito yung pagbati lang, no? Okay. Ayan, si Cora Carsola. Ayan, no? Namali siguro ng kanyang ano. Hello, Sir
Po.
Sunny, Attorney Danny Kimbo, pero Quinto, no? And all,
It's okay.
ayan. Oo, Quinto. So, ayan. Yan, ating
Amazing.
professor, teacher natin yan sa Notre Dame. Uy, Damer yan, ha?
Oh,
Damer yan,
yeah.
professor
Yeah.
yan. Teacher pala natin
Yeah.
yan sa,
Hello
ano, no,
po.
sa
Hello, ma'am.
elementary. Ma'am,
Ma'am.
good evening. Ayan, oo. And of course, si Arnel Valenzuela, no? Sabi niya, magandang gabi po, Attorney Dana. Can you read this? Nakikita mo, no?
Yeah, yeah, I
Oh,
can. I
yes.
can.
So, magandang gabi po, Attorney Dana and Kuya Sunny. Hope you are in the best of health. Maraming salamat, no?
Salamat. You too now. Keep safe.
Hello, Sunny. Good evening po. Keep safe po. God bless. Ayan. And
Keep safe.
ito yung nanalo kagabi. Nagkaroon ng contest kami ni Attorney, mamimigay siya ng dalawang, ano pa nga to? Doritos. So, nanalo to si Franz Pinedo ba? Ano pangalan niya?
Pineda.
Pinedo, ayan. So,
Pineda, Mr. Fan.
maraming salamat. Thank you very much for, yan ang mga unang pagbati natin. Marami pa rito. Si Rudy Libro, sabi niya, maraming salamat po, Pinoy Legend, Sir Sunny, and lovely Attorney Dana and all kababayans. Very informative show from Belfast. O sige, Attorney, yun ang muna mga initial natin bago natin basahin yung iba. Ano yung nga pala, i-discuss mo tungkol sa child contact, no? During this time, no? Na may pandemic. Sige, go, go, go.
Exactly. So marami na namang mga concerned about a possible second lockdown. As I've said, I think Cardiff is heading towards a local lockdown in the next on Sunday, amongst other cities in Wales. And gusto lang nating i-refresh yung guidance na binigay sa atin ng pinakamataas na judge, Sir McFarlane ng family law, the family courts. Nung nagkaroon tayo ng unang lockdown nung March, I just want to share my experience and sana makabigay ng information at knowledge sa mga kababayan natin who may be going through the same thing. So, what we said last time, one of the elements, I always say tatlo yung elements ng divorce, and really the first one is children, and try to agree kung paano yung contact arrangement nyo, who takes care of the children most of the time, kung ano yung sino yung sa weekend, sino yung susundo sa mga extracurricular, and so on and so forth. And sometimes you can agree, hopefully you can agree directly sa other parent, There are instances na hindi ganun kadali and you need the assistance of the court and dun ang court ang magbibigay ng order. So they call it child arrangement order. Most of the time, it's in a set of documents, and most of the time as well, alam natin kung anong gagawin natin year in, year out dahil may routine tayo lahat. You know, children go to school, and parents normally go to work, and meron silang, kumbaga may rota system. What happened during COVID is, I think alam natin lahat na anong rota natin, na nagulo ng konti ang mga rota natin. May mga parents who'd have to, the children had to stay in school for a long while, and parents also had to stay in school at may time na hindi nag-move yung bawal mag-move yung mga tao. And minsan ginagamit yun ng mga parents to say, ay ayokong pumunta sa public place yung anak ko, or ayokong sundin ng other parent because the other parent works a risky environment, or yung other parent is mingling with high risk people. So there's a lot of that had gone on during the lockdown. A lot of the time, that's the reason why becoming family lawyers and litigation lawyers had remained a bit busy during the lockdown. Dahil suddenly, yung papel na you agreed upon or the court has ordered, hindi ma-implement sa totoong buhay because of this pandemic. So, what do you do? Sabi ng korte. So, what do you do? A lot of people had asked that question to the lawyers. So, President McFarlane, Sir McFarlane said, you don't necessarily need to follow yung letter, not the letter of the law, kung hindi talaga kaya, if it's absolutely not possible, but you have to follow the spirit of the law. What does that mean? Kung ang spirit of the law and spirit of those documents, mga children arrangement order, is to ensure na may meaningful contact yung mga magulang. Ang sabi ni Sir McFarlane is that magulang kayo, alam nyo, you know what's best for your children. We trust you to make the decision of what is in the best interest of your children. And I repeat it all over and all over again. Ilang beses, I think last time, the test is what is the best interest, what is in the best interest of the children. Every time you make a decision, every time na may gagawin na proposal, the test na ano ng korte is ano ba yung ano ba yung maayos, ano ba yung para sa best ng mga batang to. So that applies to pandemic. If you want to change yung contact order dahil hindi talaga kaya hindi kayang pumunta dito sa supervisory, may contact center, hindi kaya dahil sarado sila. A lot of contact centers actually closed during lockdown. I'm not saying they're going to close again, but I'm saying yun yung example during lockdown. So the court said, okay, use your common sense. Alam nyo kung ano yung mabuti para sa anak nyo. Alam nyo na yung spirit of the law wants your children to have meaningful contact. So be creative. Think outside the box. Use a lot of people use Skype or Zoom or video calls, or sometimes meron pang iba na, you just say hello sa, pop by kung talagang may mga minsan key workers, sabi, key worker ka, you're very much at risk. Minsan narinig ko din yun, not necessarily sa clients ko, but somewhere na you can't go, we don't want contact kasi risky ka. So, what do you do with that? So you think of other options, alternative options para ma-deliver yung spirit of the law, which is sana tuloy-tuloy yung relasyon ng other parent dun sa anak nila. What should not happen is kung yung spirit of the law is magkaroon ng contact, i-stop yung full contact. What the court said, and winarningan yung lahat ng parents na gagamitan ng COVID para mang-inis ng kabilang partido, is that you're likely going to be criticized by the court pag ginamit mo yun. So we're going forward towards something we're going towards so winter period. People are saying there may or may not be a lockdown, there may be a further restriction. So isang paalala lang, what we experienced last March and for a few months. Yung takeaway natin doon is, life is short. We'll try not to try to agree if you can. Try to find the solutions kung kaya. At iwasan natin na mag-engage into point scoring lang o dahil gusto lang natin pahirapan yung kabilang partido. At the end of the day, in terms of children contact, ang titingnan ng korte is what is in the best interest of the children. At kung hindi ma-follow yung last order or yung last arrangement, devise an arrangement, an alternative arrangement na ma-achieve pa rin yung ultimate goal, which is for the children to have a healthy and positive relationship with both parents.
Okay, ayan. All right. Attorney, okay. Dinig mo ba ako? Can you hear me?
Okay.
Good. Hindi, sabi mo, kanina, maaring gamitin ito nung isa sa mga parents na para mang inis lang o mang asar, siguro. But you said they will be criticized by the court. Is that something na harsh or pwede ba i-compel o paano ba yan? Kasi parang criticized by the court. You said criticized by the court, no? What did you mean by that? Parang slap in the hand? O paano, how is that, no? How can it be
when we say criticized by the court, so the pinaka serious scenario is completely stop contact. So yung client mo na hindi nakikita yung anak will be left with no choice but to apply to the court again. Pag sasabihin sa court, look court, we had an order, we had an agreement, at for no justifiable reason at all, wala akong contact or wala akong sufficient contact with my children. And the court would look at the other side and say, okay, what's your reason? And if they can't give a good reason, and if it's obvious na ginagamit lang yung mga bata, wina-weaponize lang, or wala naman talaga, iniinit lang yung kabila, the court can actually tell them off and say, look, I'm going to open this up all over again. That depends on severity, obviously. So they're gonna get a telling off from the court. They're gonna get a warning from the court, and the court can say, "Look, you're breaching my order." If the judge would say, "You're breaching the court. You're disrespecting an order of the court, the letter, the spirit of the order of the court. If I open this up again, that can count as you not doing what's best for your children." And potentially, pwedeng sabihin lang, so if this is happening all the time, and actually, I want primary care or tinatawag natin custody. So pwede mong use yun to turn around and say, this is not healthy. This is not healthy, and this will never be healthy. We'll never have a sustainable relationship. Please, can you review everything? So that's how severe it can get. It can really backfire on you. Na makikita ng court, and you're not doing what's best for your child. So I need to review everything here. And you may lose primary care.
Okay. Attorney, okay, ginamit ng isa. So, okay, legal yan, no? So, ginamit ng isa para mang asar. He or she is keeping the kids, no? Parang hindi binibigyan ng contact do sa isang parent. Okay, siguro baka matagal-tagal pa yung sa judge kunyari or sa di ba? Sa okay. Baka matagal na, hindi kaagad, let's say ngayon let's say tagal na nitong aking isang partner o sa aking sweetheart o yung aking ex-wife o ex-husband. Ang tagal na ng bata sa kanila, kailangan sa akin naman. Pwede bang kunyari, let's say ginawa niya ng paraan, baka chinempohan niya yung dating ex niya na mag-grocery o mag-supermarket o mag-shopping o magpupunta sa grocery. Hindi na isama mga bata. Kinuha niya ngayon. Dinala niya sa lugar niya. Anong kaso niya? May kaso ba yun? Siya bang...
Yes. Yeah.
May kaso ba yun? Dahil, teka muna, kasalanan niya na. Kasalanan niya, nag-overstay yung anak ko doon sa kanila. It should be my turn now. Yun nga, nangaasar. Kinuha niya ngayon. Dinala niya. May kaso ba siya ron?
I'd say, kung babalikan mo yung test na parati kong inuulit-ulit, what is in the best interest of the children? The court will say na, sa tingin mo ba, maayos para sa mga bata na ginulat mo lang sila, tapos dinala mo sa isang lugar without explaining actually kung hindi man lang sila nakapagbabay sa sa mother nila or father nila. However na hindi ganun ka, kumbaga, inaasar ka, hindi ka binibigyan ng contact. If you do that, sa tingin mo ba maayos yon para sa kanila? Sa tingin mo ba it's gonna add positivity sa buhay nila? Sa tingin mo ba that's healthy? And I think yung answer doon is hindi. So if you go to the court will look at it as unfavorable para sa'yo. So I wouldn't, I would really advise against that. Because yung test is hindi kung ikaw mas nakarami ka o patas kayo o dapat kailangan i-balance dahil nakalamang siya. Hindi ganoon. Ang test is ano yung at every stage, at every decision, at every time na if you respond to them, kahit masama yung respond nila sa'yo, masama yung hindi ganun ka-fair yung ginawa nila, yung response mo pa rin would have to be tested against this criteria. What is in the best interest of the children? So, yung scenario na yon, I really don't think that's in the best interest of the children.
Okay, attorney, attorney, may question dito si Randy, no? Ang sabi niya, maingay lagi ang kapitbahay ko. Malakas ang TV nila dahil may bago silang biling speaker para sa TV nila. May magagawa ho ba ako, attorney? Ayan.
Yep.
Ano
I call that
makulit siguro, no?
Yes.
Oo,
No, it's actually quite usual, Mr. Laraga, na noise nuisance ang tawag po dyan.
Noise pollution.
Nuisance.
Nuisance. Pagka may, usually ganyan, di ba? No? Kung may mga kapitbahay kang maiingay, no? Malakas magpatugtog, no? O magano. So, pwede mong, anong gagawin? Anong gagawin nga pala ni Randy?
I'll give a little bit of a technical background. Merong acceptable level of noises for a certain period of time. I know this because I've done a noise nuisance case, and may mga noise nuisance report actually na makukuha ka. So decibel is yung measure ng noise. So I don't know at the top of my head kung ano yung normal for certain period for certain times in the day, but how they would test it is kung kukuha ka ng noise report, titingnan nila kung gaano kalakas talaga yung noise na yon. If it's above a certain level, you can say, look, clearly it's well over and beyond normally acceptable level of noises for this particular point in time, and you can ask them to stop it, or officially kung pupunta ka sa korte, you call it an injunction against the noise.
Pwede palang i-korte yun, attorney?
Injunction po, pwede pang stop. Yeah, it's actually quite, medyo stricto sila dito.
So pwedeng tumapang si Randy na, kasi baka siyempre iharas yan, duruin yan, takot-takutin yan dahil siyempre.
Kuha ka muna ng ebidensya mo, Randy, na talagang above acceptable level ng noise nuisance. And this is, hindi ko pa nagagamit ito. Ang pagkakaalam ko, may app na magte-test ng noise. May isa kong kliyente nagsabi sa akin, may app to test the decibel, and you can test that. And I think makikita mo naman ata, I think meron online, you can see kung ano yung acceptable level of noises. And you can say that, kasi hindi mo lang sasabihin objectively maingay siya. Sasabihin mo maingay ka ng ganitong decibel sa ganitong oras.
Pero hindi rin siguro tama na gawin ni Randy na makipag-compete siya, no? Magpalakasan na lang sila siguro, no? Maglagay di siya ng speaker.
Kasi saan naman yung gagawin ng decibel ng kabila?
Oo. Hindi ko sabay-sabay ang decibel nila, no? Sometimes ganyan ang ginagawa, di ba? Sa mga shows. Oo, sa mga shows, mga palabas na nakikita natin, di ba? Sabayan na lang, ano? Pero okay, so he's in his right na pwede siya mag-complain talaga. Pulis muna ba? Pulis muna, di ba?
Randy, kung nasa flat ka, sabihin mo, I don't know, kung nasa flat ka, kasi normally sa flat yung may problema na ganyan, dahil tabi-tabi yung walls, that's from my experience. Kahit ikaw yung may-ari, normally may management company, so maybe raise that with them. Kung renting ka, raise that with the landlord. And or dun sa estate agent na nagma-manage ng property. But you can take some decibel measures para maano mo, and you can. Pag sobra na talaga, you can. They call it noise nuisance.
Oh, okay. Meron tayong question dito from kay Lily, no? Sinisiraan siya sa social media ng kanyang dating best friend, no? Sabi niya, yung dati kong best friend, sinisiraan ako sa social media. Paano ko siyang babalikan, attorney?
Again, we talked about this dati,
Marami
no?
yan, oh, social media, di ba? Oh,
Cyberbullying, defamation. So, kung may defamatory remarks sa social media, what we or any any venue na pinublish ang isang defamatory remarks, you can do a cease and desist. Sasabihin mo na that's defamatory, pakitanggal yan. And if not, we can raise a defamation action against you and sue for damages and other losses and legal costs. So you do a cease and desist, an official cease and desist letter, which is really just asking them na tigilan, tanggalin yung post.
hindi ka pwedeng
You can
Oo.
also you can
Yes.
also report to Facebook, kung ano man social media yon, Facebook or Twitter or YouTube, because they have their own policies on defamatory statements or disparaging statements. So report and block.
Meron bang may monetary claim ba yan? Pwede ba siyang, hindi naman yumaman, pwede ba siyang magkaroon ng pera dyan at pang-holiday niya?
It's sa English law. You can only you sue for yung first element is financial damages. So say for example, we talked about this si August yung dating example natin. Si August dapat may tawag modeling
Okay.
contract.
Oo.
Modeling contract. Tapos si Sunny sinabi niya ay nako si August hindi yan kumbaga para modeling contract sa buhok, ganun ang buhok ni August So modeling contract for shampoo. And then sinabi ni Sunny, ay ano ba yun, si August hindi naman totoo yung buhok niyan
Oo.
Tapos, which is incorrect,
Oo.
hindi untrue.
Untrue,
Nilagay
oo.
ni Sunny sa Pinoy Radio UK, yung tomorrow na topic niya, si August purely. So, I write to Sunny, dear Mr. Rara, and what happened, just before I go there, is that nakita nung yung company na magsusponsor sana, ano tawag doon, sponsor kay August, sabi
Kay
kay
August,
August, no,
oo.
sorry, wala na, we're dropping the contract because of this particular feedback nitong Pinoy legend na to. So, say for example,
Para si Edgar yan, attorney, ginagamit mo si Edgar. Okay. Go ahead. Sige.
Say for example, the contract is worth 50,000 pounds. So yes, if ako yung abogado ni August, I'd write to you, dear Mr. Laragan, this is a cease and desist letter and a letter before action. We put you on notice that you made disparaging and untrue remarks against my client, and on the basis of that, and due to that, it caused him some financial losses, as corroborated by the evidence herein, where a potential modeling contract renege on an agreement based on your feedback. Damages being asked is 50,000 pounds. So that's it. Dapat may link yung financial losses.
So yung ganong situation, pwede ka you can pero merong reason or ground to probably not really recover na rin dahil lost contract ni di ba? Nawala yung kanyang modeling contract.
Exactly.
Siguro to the amount siguro kung magkano dapat niyang titira. Oo. Pero kung let's say kung sinabi ng friend niya malandi siya, ganun. Ay, malandi yan, lumandi kay ganun. Anong kaso yun? Anong criminal na yun pagka ganun? You cannot claim for anything, except for, would that be criminal, attorney?
They can be. It's what they would say about it is it could be harassment. They could pwede maging form ng harassment. So in that way, halimbawa twice or thrice niya nilalagay sa social media. If it's really severe, pwedeng harassment under the criminal law. In the same way, meron pa rin siyang civil remedy under defamation or harassment then. So Yung kahit minsan sinasabi nila na kahit totoo, pero pag may sinister, may kumbaga may mali siya yung ano na flavor yung statement, it could still be defamatory. May element ng just compensation, pero that is up to the court. So yun is depende sa korte, hindi. I did say about direct financial losses like August, yung modeling contract ni August. But in addition, the court can just give compensation. That would depend that would depend on the court. And medyo ano yung korte dito, medyo tight sila sa ganon because what they're saying here is ang inaano talaga nila is direct economic losses.
Ayan. Ayan, okay. So, direct economic losses. No? May mga pagbati pala dito si Glo Marie Rose Cancino Martinez. Bumabati siya sa atin na attorney, no? At tingnan lang natin muna itong mga pagbati natin. Ayan, bago natin basahan yung ilang pa mga siguro mga questions ng ating mga kababayan. Hello, Attorney Dana. Ingat and stay healthy kayo dyan, sabi niya. Arian Impincalo. Mga Kalo, these are from ano yata?
Right.
From Butuan ba kayo? Kalo? Taga
Ano?
Agusan. Yeah, Agusan mga Kalo.
Classmate ko po si Arian, but that's her nung high school, but that's her Kalo is her married name, so I don't know kung sino yung husband
Kasi ang
niya.
mga Kalo, may dating mga ano ang Kalo sa ano sa may Butuan or sa may Agusan del Norte, no, mga Kalo. Yeah, mga Kalo. So, mabuhay, no? Mabuhay. Uy, mabuhay ka dyan.
She's a frontliner po, so saludo sa mga frontliner. Ingat kayo dyan. Ingat yan.
Ito ba yung taga, no? Taga Surrey?
Hindi po. Iba
pa yun?
Marami po akong kaklase dito.
Ganun ba? Yung mga, okay.
I think she's in the Middle East. I'm not sure, but
mabuhay. Ingat ka rin. Arian, ha? Lalaki ba yan? Babae? Hindi, babae yan, no?
Babae.
Kasi nagsabi mo, nag-asawa, no? Limpin, Kalo, yun. Oh.
Kalo is Filipino na.
Yes. So May Tigbao, sabi niya, bumabati siya. Good evening, no? At meron tayong pagbati pa rito mula kay, sino ba to? Si Edgar, Kelvin J. Colom, no? Good evening. Edgar Duway, say hi and hello sa'yo, no? Hindi ko kaya yung ginagawa ninyo, attorney, yung ginagawa yung you go, ano ba, hiking ba? Trekking ba yan? Papunta sa mga different...
Hiking po.
Hiking?
So, hiking is sa UK, they call it hill walking. Yun ang official term nila dito. Hill walking.
Ngayon ko lang nalaman na meron kong, sabi mo, may asthma ka, ganun? When do you have this asthma? Kailan lumalabas yan?
Pag nag-exercise.
Okay. So, paano yun? Pagka, ikaw ba, have you ever experienced na on one of your treks ba o hikes or have you ever experienced na inatake ka?
Yeah. Ang exercise-induced asthma, and I think yung mga ibang may asthma could relate on this. Ang pinakamahirap po, Mr. Sonny, is the first 30 minutes to an hour. Kasi dun parang nasya-shock yung lungs mo. And yung unang first 30 minutes ng climb mo, mahirap talaga. Yung maririnig mo ako pag kasama mo ako mag-climb, para akong hinihinga na. And then, once nag-open up yung lungs mo, it's weird because that's the reason why I like endurance races. Kasi after an hour, mapipil mo, ay, bumakas na yung lungs ko. And then you feel a bit better. And then, pag linamig ka, that's when nauubo ka. And then you're okay. That's fine. You're okay afterwards.
Right.
May ka lang para inhaler.
I don't know kung inabot mo itong mga kwentong, hindi ko alam kung anong kwento to. Noong araw, halimbawa, may sinasabi sila pagka may hika daw pakainin ng butike. I don't know if you've heard of it. Lizard na, gano'n, butike no. Yan ang mga matatanda sa Pilipinas, gano'n. So you've never ever experience yung mga ganong mga pamahiin sa Pilipinas na ginagawa about asthma?
Pero narinig ko po yung butike na yan,
Have you? Talaga sa tungkol sa asthma?
Sa asthma. I've heard of these things.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
And yet you still go for the mga ano ba, how would you call that? Mga hindi naman strenuous ba yung mga ganyan? Yung mga... Endurance. Oh, okay.
Madaming tao na asthmatic na nag-endurance. Because ang aanuhin mo lang is if you can survive the first 30 minutes, the first half an hour, na steady ka lang,
Mm.
your lungs would actually be warmer. Kapag warmer na yung lungs mo,
Mm.
it'll open
Mm.
up
Mm.
and you feel much more comfortable. Yung pag nagma-marathon, the first 10 kilometers for me, you know, for
Oo.
long wise, that's hardest. For me, hardest talaga. After that, makikita mo na talaga na I breathe better. And then, ano na lang, kumaga patigasan na lang ng paa after
Oh,
nun.
okay. Paano ang attack? Madalas ba rin nag-attack ka o bihira mag-attack? Ano ba tawag doon? Asthma attack? Ang tawag ba dyan?
For me, flare up. Flare up po.
Flare up.
After trangkaso, yun po yung kadalasan sa akin. After
Kadalasan.
trangkaso.
Okay. Hindi ka
For me,
makahinga, ganun?
inuubo. Inuubo,
Inuubo
tapos
ka. Okay.
parang you get coffee. So, matagal akong wala na hindi naman. Very, very, yun nga lang, when I tried entering the army, talagang, I declared it. Pero yung last symptoms ko,
Enter the army?
matagal ako.
Enter the army?
Yeah.
Who entered the army? Ikaw?
British Army. As a lawyer, yeah.
As a lawyer. Really?
As a lawyer.
Kailan yan?
Yeah, yeah. Last year.
Ano yan? Captain ka na o colonel? O captain?
Yeah,
May...
you can. Yeah. For captain position. Yeah. Officer role.
Okay. Hindi kasi, why I know, hindi, alam ko kung bakit kasi ganito, alam ko yan. Hindi, yung mga doctors ba, dyan sa,
Yeah, the same.
yung Frimley
Same.
Park Hospital, maraming, ano yan it's parang may tie-up ng Ministry of Defense, and some of their
Correct.
surgeons are mga colonel or major or mga ganun, no?
Yeah.
Oo.
Ang entry niyo po is captain. Correct.
Okay. Bago yan. So, pwede ka namin tawagin Attorney Captain DANNA Quinto.
I didn't fully get into it. There's a story in my Facebook if you wanna see my journey.
Okay. Maano
It
ba,
was
journey?
fun. It was yung ano ko, yung training ko for it. I got through the first about two probably interview. So in interview ako sa, I think I'm allowed to say, I think everyone sits on interview ka sa, so my first screening CV, and then this was before DV solicitors way back before I joined.
Okay. Hindi ngayon yan.
So,
Akala ko parang at the moment that you're working at DB Solicitors, you also applied or
no, that was
wanted to
last
be.
year. This
That
was
was.
last year. This was last year.
Okay.
Even before. Mas bata pa ako because I think cut off age nila is 31. So
Okay.
yeah, no, it's very interesting. If kung professional, hindi naman sa, it's obviously it's your personal preference, but it was positive experience. Yung interview, it was good. It was it was. Because at that time, I just want to share. At that time, the head, the head ng British Army Legal Services was a woman, babae, and she was the highest ever. I think she was a Major General, Susan Ridge. I'm a big fan. She was the highest ever, first ever women's history ng British Army to reach that level, and she's a lawyer, and she was the top lawyer of the British Army. So very inspiring show with women lawyers as well who wanted to find a different balance, so you can go on adventures and travel the world and do lots of lawyering, other types of lawyering in the meantime.
Marami bang lawyering sa military? Hindi ba parang usually mga court martials ang yung mga yan?
No.
Marami rin.
Katulad ko rin po, they were looking for civil na assist. It was not just about court martial, yung senior na po yung napupunta doon, just to give you an idea. Senior lawyers na yung nagko-court martial. The younger lawyers assist mga army servicemen or servicewomen sa employment law, divorce law, civil law. Some of them would assist yung unit mismo and the army itself in the interpretation of rule of law and yung sa mga NATO, United Nations, treaty. So you get that side of international law, and then you get the internal, like me, giving advice sa community natin about civil and family law.
Okay. Attorney, siguro for the benefit of our viewers, pwede ko bang ibigay itong aking konting problema din tungkol sa recent
Yeah,
aking ano, oo.
kung gusto niyo po.
Oh, ani ko lang kwento ko lang no. I think that was about 2 Mondays ago, no. Hindi tong Monday basta 2 or Mondays ago. Nakabangga yung aking partner, yung aking kotse na sa ano sa may gusto ko lang sabihin kasi dahil hindi ko ginamit kaagad yung insurance. Ngayon ko lang na-realize baka alam niyo pagka first time, 'di ba? Para kang nangangapa. And it's
Right.
sometimes you don't have to experience it. You just pagka you learn it from somebody else, at least when the time comes na mangyari sa inyo, alam niyo ang gagawin. Okay, yung partner ko kasi naibangga, dinala yung sasakyan. She has this morning, once a week na parang she does a bit of caring lang. Parang kaibigan, well, I don't know kung kaibigan nga. Yung family, no? Yung nagka-care siya doon sa lalaki. No? Mag-asawa lang to eh. British and yung wife is Belgian origin, no? So she speaks French. Anyway, so nabangga 2 weeks ago nabangga yung pillar and yung gate, no? So ang nangyari ay masyadong fussy yung may-ari, no? Yung babae. Parang gusto niya ayaw niya ng parang we were having quotes, no? Mga quotes na may mga pumunta. Iba kunyari itim, iba parang Polish, parang ano siya, parang scruffy daw ang itsura ng mga ano. Yung pala parang gusto niya kasi yung somebody that she can really trust, no. Eventually we ended up with yung builder nila yata sa kanila mga ano. Kaya lang ang problema lang, she's always saying na listed yung bahay and so on and so forth. She doesn't want to have just any ordinary builder lang. Ang idea lang namin, no, is insurance. Tatawag ka lang, siguro give some quotes, no. Sa kotse walang problema, yung third party liability yung nabangga na ano, yun ang problema ngayon. Parang hindi pretty straightforward, no. Pwede ka makipag-away, no? Pwede sabihin, teka muna, bigyan lang natin ng quote sa insurance, bahala na sila. Ganun. Ito, hindi, masyadong nag-inarte. Kami naman on our part, dahil kakilala ng partner ko, parang nahihiya kami dahil nabangga na ano. Pero yan, kung isipin mo, parang ano lang lahat yan eh. Insurance lang yan, babayaran ng insurance. Parang you can be just, di ba, hindi mo na kailangan
Correct.
mag-involve, no? Kung ibang tao, yun, fine, insurance tayo. Pero ito parang nag-inarte na maraming mga kasi Wimbledon tong property eh. No? And totoo naman, tinignan ko yung National England na mga listed properties. May mga listed properties pero hindi sila kasama rin syempre. Ang bawat borough pala, meron din parang silang mga listed properties din. Let's say for example on a certain street, about 3 adjoining properties there are listed. Parang gano'n, no? So ang nangyari sa amin na feeling ko, only one side of the gate was hit talaga. Yung kabila hindi. Pero parang ang feeling ko parang gusto niya isa kayong kabilang kasi sira na talaga yung gate nila eh. Anong dapat gawin doon, attorney? Anong pa pwedeng gawin doon? Insist ko na ito lang nabangga, no? Siyempre, yun lang. Ito lang ang dapat maayos.
No.
At pwede bang meron kasi mga mabababang quotes ayaw niya eh. Pwede bang i-insist na dapat ito yung mga quotes na lumalabas, pwede naman gawin kaagad yan. Kasi pwede daw palang gawin mo ng mga mobile welders and attorney na balik daw sa dati, ano? Hindi niya gusto yon. Gusto niya yung may ipoporma pa, ganyan, sabay pa ng, parang pati installation, kailangan kasama pa yung mga nag-weld, no? Kung sino man yun.
So may...
Yes.
Yeah, go on.
Na yun lang, can we insist lang na simple lang ba o kailangan sakyan na lang namin kung ano yung go for the higher quotes? Or get these quotes and give it just to the insurance, bahala na sila.
I did say, so I'll go to the practical, I'll go kung ano yung sinasabi ng law. Whenever there's something na ganyan, may damage to property or tort na may nangyari na may mga damages. So the intention is to put it back as if it had not happened. So meron kaming tinatawag na repair ba yan o betterment? Kasi repair lang, ibalik lang sa kung ano yung sitwasyon noon, good working order, kung good working order yun at that time. But not necessarily going gold yung, halimbawa nasira yung tap sa faucet. Gagawin ko lang yung working tap, hindi ko gagawing golden tap. So that's how we say about that. However, yung punto niya is meron siyang there is obviously a point about listed building, and meron siyang bargaining chip in terms of sasabihin niya, well, ikaw yung nakabangga, ikaw yung liable. I need this to be, iba yung interpretation niya dun sa yung working order ng gate niya. And that's when the dispute will happen. So, kung sasabihin niya na ayaw niya nung mas mababang quote, she would have to justify bakit ayaw niyang yung mababang quote. In your position as well, you'd have to show na this code, hindi lang dahil sa mababa siya, it's actually going to solve the problem. It's going to put you back into the position had we not crashed into the gate. What I would say is that, as I told you earlier, it's probably best to just tell us insurers to take this under the policy na kung damage and property included ba sa policy, and if it is, tell them and say, look, we wanted to mitigate the loss. We've got here 3 coats, and would you do your deliberation kung ano yung pinaka congruent dun sa situation in terms of putting back this damaged property into good repair.
Ano tawag mo doon, attorney? Ano uli yun? Is it ganyan or betterment? Ano yung another word before the betterment?
Good repair.
Good repair. Is it good repair or betterment?
No,
yung parang
betterment. Yeah. No, betterment.
Parang lalo gumanda, kunyari kung betterment, gano'n ba? Parang from the original damage, mas lalo pang naging better, parang gano'n, di ba? May mga gano'ng tao, di ba? May mga gano'ng tao, di ba? Na parang they wanna take advantage of the situation. Or perhaps yung may...
Mind argue, and just being a devil's advocate, ito sabihin niya, hindi na pantay yung itsura ng dalawang gate. So, dati pantay yan. So, kailangan mong pantayin. And there may be a point there. There may be a point if I want to be a devil's advocate, if I'm acting for her, I'd say, look, kailangan, hindi ko alam yung extent ng damages, so I can't really. Say, for example, pipintahan. Ito normal to, pipintahan yung kabilang gate. Tapos yung kabilang gate, hindi ganun ka-gray or ka-black. It's not gonna look nice. And there will be an opening for an argument to say, well, kailangan mong pintahan pareho, hindi ko naman kasalanan na we are in this position. So unfortunately, hindi to betterment. It's actually just putting it back into the original position na pareho yung kulay ng gate ko.
Okay. Ayan. Teka muna. Meron tayong nag-distract ako sa mga acknowledge. Hindi sa mga acknowledge sila dito teka muna. Ano ba 'to? Nagsasagutan, ginawa nilang sagutan yung ating ayan. Oo.
Uy, nag-aaway naman.
Hindi nagsasagot. Nag-ano lang. Ayan. Okay. Teka muna. Merong nag-flood ng ating Okay. Alright. Okay. Teka na. Basahin ko lang itong mga si Edgardo Cagahastian, Enriquez bumabati sa atin, attorney, he is from, tag dito. Ayan. Good evening ho. Kuya Sunny, Attorney Dana, watching from Canada Water, London. Ayan. Oo. Si Edgardo Cagahastian, Tapos, Kuya Sunny, ito, sabi niya, and Attorney Dana, when I was working in the Philippines before, I always see people doing training, running every Wednesday night in Valero, Makati, even if it's raining heavily. I think they are a mountaineering club who are working in Makati. Okay. Galing naman, Isay Parahan, good evening po. Ayun, sa Makati. Nung nasa Pilipinas ka ba, nag-ano ka? Are you doing also endurance training, attorney?
Hindi po.
Hindi lang dito na. Oo. Alam mo, hindi naman sa aking ayokong knock on wood, pero alam mo, ever since ako napunta sa UK, hindi ako sakitin eh. Hindi ako laging tinatrangkaso o sinisipon. Hindi ka maka sa Pilipinas, sipunin ako, ubuhin ako, hinihika pa ako.
May hika ka rin.
Ang hika ko nung matanda na ako eh. Ang hika ko kasi, to just let you know, yung hika ko, kasi I would MC sa Pilipinas, so siyempre, yung mga paid MCing mo na yan. Nag-MC ako ng isang isang debut, no? Yung debut 18th birthday. So, na tiyempo, may ubo yata ako noon, no? Parang hirap akong ano. Ang ginawa ko, nag-overdose ako ng Benadryl, yung sa ubo. Ay, so, 60 ml yata, 120, tinungga ko yun. Na, ang ganda pagkatapos, after a few minutes sa attorney, napakaliwanag na nung aking dibdib. Wow, talagang ganda ng boses ko dahil malinaw. Pero after mga 2 hours, 3 hours, hinihika ako. Doon na ako nagsimulan maghika, and then na-hospital ako. Nagpaano, mas malaki pa yung ginastos ko kaysa doon sa kinita ko eh. So, sa hinika ako. Ever since doon, pagkatapos noon, pag sinisipan ako, inuubo ako, hinihika na ako. Ever since. Pero nung
Parang
bata ako, hindi.
tayo, pag sinisipon
Oo.
pag sinisipon po, hihikain ka talaga. Yung talaga
Oo,
yung natural trigger.
ikaw
Yeah.
ba pagka nagsipon ka, inubo, parang ano ba, mabilis I don't know, no? Sa akin sa Pilipinas, nag-antibiotics na ako eh dahil hindi
Yeah.
kaya eh. Pagka biglang maghihikain na ako eh. Nag-antibiotics ka ba
Dito
sa
po,
Pilipinas?
hindi mo, ano sila, stricto po sila dito.
Dito,
Dito
stricto. They don't allow you. Oo.
dito po, basta-basta talaga kahit ilan, I think apat na linggo na dati yung ano ko, yung ubo ko.
Oo.
Ayaw ko
Ayaw ka pa rin
dito.
bigyan. Oo. Oo. Pero kung kaibigan mo Pilipina, pwede ka abutan ng antibiotics. Pero were you taking antibiotics back home? Were you taking antibiotics back home in the Philippines?
Yan sa
Oo,
Pilipinas
dito
po.
bawal no? Hindi
Bawal
ina-allow.
dito.
Hindi ina-allow, oo. Ayan. Si Meng Ibe, sabi niya, good evening po, Attorney Dana at Sir Sunny, watching from Brentboro. Ayan. Oo.
Good evening po.
Oo, good evening. Teka muna, medyo may, ayan, okay. Medyo, ayan, ano to, ayan. May, may ano to, merong ano ba, hack ba tawag dyan? Edgar, nga, pero hindi mo ma-delete yan, no? So, may pumasok lang ng mga messages na, Ayan. Okay. Well, kung sakaling, let's say, for example, damages, kamukha nung sa amin not damages ba? Attorney, pagka mga damages, kunyari ayaw magbayad, kunyari nabangga ang property or anything nabangga, ayaw magbayad, siyempre, iko-korte mo yan, di ba?
Opo. Opo.
Anong proseso? Do you go to the police first na
No.
nakadamage siya sa akin o ayaw kasi magbayad eh. Siguro maaaring hirap sa pera o ayaw lang o di ba? Kamukha nang nabangga ako ng kotse, yung kotse kong previously, biglang tumakbo.
But yun
Oo.
naman sa mga kotse po, it's always good na tawagan yung police. Not necessarily dahil kailangan siya sa civil, but ebidensya kasi yon. So you can get what we call a collision report. So pag umaten yung police, may reference ka at alam talaga na nangyari. So nakadokumento yon. What we do as civil lawyers is kung sinabi ayaw talaga magbayad, we write first a letter before action and i-attach yung estimate of loss kung magkano yung, like maybe ako quotes kung magkano i-repair yung damages and bibigyan ng certain period of time para mag-respond o magbayad. And pag hindi nagbayad, then you go to court. So you go to court, you issue a claim, and then that starts the ball rolling.
Ayun, okay. That starts the ball rolling. Okay,
Yeah.
well,
Very long ball.
it's a process talaga, Kailangan proseso talaga. Sa bagay ganun, Hindi naman pa pwedeng wala kasi tayong barangay dito, So for any let's say action na gusto mong gawin, na hindi naman wala namang criminal element, you have to start with
A letter
ba?
before action. A letter before action.
A letter. This could be a letter. You have to get to a solicitor, parang ganon, to write a letter.
Yeah, ideally depende sa ideally yes kasi may mga technical requirements yung letter before action like defamation, may kailangan kang ilagay doon. If it's a builder contract construction dispute, may mga format din na nire-require yung court, yung law. If it's clinical negligence, medical negligence, may format din. The same then pag road traffic accidents. So may mga technicalities yung law. And if you don't follow yung what we call a pre-action protocol, may protocol pa sila dito. This is how you conduct yourself before pumunta ka sa korte. Pag sobrang matigas na, kung talagang hindi ka nag-attempt at all na mag-engage sa pre-action protocol and pumunta ka directly sa korte, pwedeng erase yun ng kabila. Sinabi, hindi mo na
Kinausap ako
complete.
muna. O, ganun?
Oo,
Hindi
hindi
mo
mo
ko...
kinausap. And the court can penalize you by cost. Na, halimbawa, kahit nanalo ka, tama
Mm.
ka, nanalo ka, sabihin mo, tama naman ako ah.
Mm.
Sabihin ng korte, okay, but we won't give you all of your costs back. Kasi kung kinausap mo lang yung kabila,
Mm.
ang tapos na maaga to, hindi ka na dapat na nag-incur ng ganyang kataas na cost. So, yun ang, kumbaga, penalty pag hindi mo na-follow yung pre-action protocol na yun. So, be very careful. Kailangan may proseso, even before court, may proseso na kung paano. Kausapin mo muna, yun yung sabi ng korte. Court is the last resort. Kausapin mo, mag-write ka ng letter, try to deal with it as efficiently as possible.
So, anything yan. Kunyari, meron kang pinagawa halimbawa, may builder. Sabi mo yata, parang
Yeah,
contract. Ano tawag doon? Builder?
builder, yung mga building contract, yung mga
Building contract, may pinagawa ka ng... Oo, nagpagawa ka ng... Oo. Tapos hindi ka satisfied, parang wala doon sa usapan. Okay, so you documented by taking photos and pictures, and then you write muna to the person before taking legal action. Ganun ba talaga?
That is the start of the legal action. That is the start of the legal action. So you get your documents ready. You get sometimes even surveyor's report. So nangyayari sa mga building contract, Mr. Laragan, is that hindi ginawa ng maayos yung trabaho. Tapos sasabihin ng surveyor, ano naman to? Nagbayad ka ng 80,000, yung ginawa lang naman is 50,000 worth. So may document ka na, may technical report ka na ganon. So yung lawyers mo would present your case, kung paano yung ano yung elements ng case mo, as well as kung ano yung gusto mo mangyari. So sasabihin mo, gusto kong bayaran mo ako ng difference doon, and I await your response within the next days. So that is the start of yung pre-action protocol. That's the start of the whole hindi man siya start ng court proceedings, but that's the start of yung paano mo i-resolve yung dispute, yung legal dispute dito.
At least may natutunan ako this today, pre-action protocol, no? Ang dapat
Yes,
nilang
it's
gawin.
very important.
Very
Pre-action
important.
protocol.
Okay. Meron tayong nagulat ako, meron tayong viewer from America. Kilala mo ba 'to, si Vic Hernandez?
Yes.
Vic, mabuhay, no? Ayan, nasa Utah.
Nakita lang din nata ito. Mabuhay, Vic.
Vic, God bless.
Sa America ngayon. Siguro afternoon po.
It's Utah, siguro, yes, ang California is di ba? 8 hours. And tapos, so 1 o'clock sa California, and -5, 4 o'clock sa New York. I don't know kung anong time na Utah, no? Mabuhay. Thank you very much, Vic. It's nice, no? I'm glad we're glad that you're you're with us tonight. Ayan. Ito ho, mga kaibigan, ito yung ating legal advice corner, syempre, with Attorney DANNA Quinto. So, samantalahin natin, let's take advantage. At I'm sure maraming ikaw, parang yung mga Pilipino, parang, kampante na kami ngayon, meron na kami abogado. Dahil may kakampi na kami, no? Pwede na ipaliwanag sa amin, pwede niya i-represent kami if ever na, maisipan namin ituloy, no? Andiyan ho si attorney para maging abogado ninyo, no? Ayan, no? So, yes, ang tawag dito. Okay. Ito, may okay, Lilibet. Lilibet, may kaibigan ho akong umutang ng 5,000 pounds. Ayaw na hong magbayad yata. Ano hong dapat kong gawin? Ayan.
Lilibet.
Ganda na pangalan, Lilibet. Lilibet. Para pambata, no? Pambatang pangalan. Lilibet. Yes. So, anong
yes.
5,000 pounds daw?
No, 5,000. Sorry. So, Lilibet, the same favorite na word na ngayon, word of the day ni Mr. Laragan is pre-action protocol.
O yun.
Pre-action. So, pre-action protocol would mean final demand muna. what I normally do is set out yung case mo kung ako yung gagawa. Say, si Lilibet, pinautang niya si Juan. On this date, say, na example, nag-agree sila na this is a loan at nag-agree sila either via verbal agreement or kung meron ka in writing, better, lagay mo, i-attach mo dun sa letter mo para klaro. At nakalagay doon na napag-usapan nyo na ibabalik ni Juan on this date at hindi niya nabalik and therefore breach si Juan sa agreement nyo. So that's a breach of contract. So you set it out in a step-by-step manner kung paano na-breach ni Juan yung legal obligation niya sa'yo. And then you give Juan, say, 7 days to pay you 5,000 pounds or else you will start legal action against him. So that's pretty much a letter before claim for a debt claim or a breach of contract. It would be good, sometimes we would say, kasi para ginagawa namin inaano na namin, kumbaga, unahan mo na kung ano pa yung tatanong, okay lang, o sige nga, hindi pa, prove mo nga na pinadala mo sa akin yung pera. So, if you have a bank transfer, ngayon, uso naman yung online banking. So, tingnan mo doon, rinimit ko kay Juan noong 5th of January 2019. So, take a screenshot or yung PDF format ng remittance, nakalagay doon. Then, meron kayong WhatsApp messages na, Juan, sabi ni Juan, promise ko, babalik ko after 6 months. So, that's a term of the contract. Yun yung due date ng contract, 6 months. And then, sasabihin mo, 6 months had passed and hindi pa rin nabayaran, and therefore, the contract has been breached. And you are owed 5,000 pounds, which is clearly overdue.
Ayun. Okay. Ayan. Alright. Mayroon tayong tanong naman dito. Okay. Uy, good evening. Cora Carsola, hi. Okay. Ito, medyo may... Ma'am, good evening tayo, no? Ayan. Alright. Okay. May tanong tayo rito, no? Attorney, may babasahin ko lang yung question dito. May question dito sa atin, no? Galing to kay Melody. Ayan, Melody, no? Naanakan ako ng boyfriend ko, attorney, at ito ay Pinoy. Pwede ko ho ba na i-compel siyang mag-suporta sa anak namin? 9 months na po ang anak namin. Yeah.
Okay.
Meron ba rito? Paano ba rito? Hindi ko alam yan. Parang meron bang, ano ba mga ano? May
hoping
suporta ba?
yan.
Bukod, alam mo, di ba mga bata rito may benefits ba? May child benefits, di ba?
At iba naman po yun. So,
Iba pa yun. Iba pa yun.
Iba pa yun. Yeah, iba yun. Mel, this is for you kaya hindi ako qualified to give legal advice in a Philippine law context, but this is purely the UK. It wasn't quite clear if you're calling from Philippines or in the UK. But in the UK, so the first question is, yung boyfriend mo ba ay nag-sign ng birth certificate? So pag nag-sign siya yung tatay doon, it's quite clear may what we call parental responsibility. Kung may parental responsibility siya, you can go to yung dating CMS, Child Maintenance Services, or may ibang yung government institution. So you can get yung child maintenance na sustento.
Naka-sign daw, attorney. Naka-sign doon sa ano. So the more naka-sign, sabi mo? Naka-sign.
Yeah. If may
okay.
problem ka and you say na pwede mo siyang look, you're the dad, and you say paternity test, here you are, it's your hindi ko alam kung son ba or daughter, and you can compel na sabihin na anuhin niya, he lives up to the parental responsibility. But yes, pwede mo siya. Ideally, you can ask him na pag-usapan niyo muna. We always say that but you can go via the child maintenance services. May pwede kang kumuha ng sustento. It's a bit easier here from what I hear compared sa Pilipinas.
Mas madali dito. Ayan. So okay naman pala.
Wala na
problema. As long as kinilala naman yung yung anak mo no? Pero kung hindi
Kung
kinilala, halimbawa,
tawagin,
kung hindi kinilala, can she compel the guy?
pwede ka nga magpa-order ng paternity
Ah,
test.
paternity, oh, parang ano, no, yung ano, oo.
Madali lang naman ngayon. Yeah,
Mas madali ngayon.
mas
Ayun.
madali ngayon.
Oh, that's good. That's good, no? At least yun ang ating ano, at least ano 'yun, yung worry mo, melody, no, walang problema. So, okay na okay 'yan. Ayan. At kung sakaling kailangan, yan ba kailangan ba rin minsan ng ano, ng legal ng lawyer din minsan kung sakasakali or
Ah,
hindi na?
minsan,
Minsan.
just minsan
O
para lang,
letter lang. Is it the
oo,
pre
letter lang. Yeah, walang problema yun. Parang letter lang para i-remind lang minsan
i-remind lang?
kasi
Oo.
bigat ang
Okay.
ulo minsan eh. Oo, minsan nagigising lang sa letter ng abogado. So yeah, we can help with that.
Pero dito hindi naman nadidemanda yan na ano, no? I mean parang just compelled, the court just compels the dad supposedly, no, na to ano, to
To submit
for
to a
support,
paternity
no?
test.
Ganon. Oo. Pero
At the
hindi
time, medyo ano sila sa ano,
oo.
Mr. Naragan, ano sila dito? They're
Mm.
quite strict sa yung child maintenance. Hinahabol talaga sila yung child maintenance liability. May
Oo.
nanghahabol talaga dito.
Ganon ah. Wow.
Yeah.
Ganon pala rito, napaka ano tawag dito, napaka higpit na rin in a way, no? Talagang
Mahigpit sa
oo, oo.
mahigpit. Mahigpit lalo na sa bata, rights of the children in protecting the children and the vulnerable. Medyo mahigpit talaga sila.
Ayan, oh, okay. Well, yan, kamukha niyan, sa bata yan. Pero kunyari, let's say, pinangakuan kang pakakasalan ka, o nag-set na ng kasal, pero kung hindi ka tinuluyan, di mo naman pwedeng demanda yun, no? Unless may mga damages sa,
Unless
siguro,
may damages.
invitations, oo.
Yeah, exactly.
So wala,
Exactly.
hindi mo
Yeah.
pwedeng i-demanda na umatras sa pakasalan ka, ganyan. Hindi
No.
kaya ito magbigay ng idea sa mga guys na they will make bola doon sa girls, no? Tapos para, oy, pakakasalan kita. And then at the end, no, siguro para lang may ano sila. In the end, thinking na hindi naman pala ako madidemanda rito hanggang ano lang eh. You know, so wala, kamukha nung kay ano, di ba? Kamukha nung kay, di ba, yung lumabas na may Pinoy dito. Have you heard that story? Itong may Pinoy na, ano ba pangalan? Sunny rin ang pangalan eh. Nagalit na galit si Sharon Cuneta. Sharon Cuneta dahil yung anak niya, daughter niya, sabi nung Sunny rito
Yeah.
na kung ako naging 12 ba sabi niya or a certain age yung bang hindi ano ng saklaw ng death penalty sa Pilipinas ng ano ng
Yeah.
liability sa Pilipinas
Yeah.
ano parang hahanapin kita tapos parang gano'n i-rape kita tapos
Mm.
magsumbong ka sa tatay mong ano because it was I think the father si
Yeah.
Senator Kiko Pangilinan ang
Yeah.
proponent or author ng bill na yun, di ba? Na
Yeah.
a certain
Yeah.
limited liability sa mga walang liability ba from ano age yun? Nakalimutan ko na kung anong age yun eh. Below 15, below ano bang age yun?
15 or 12 ba yun or something? I don't
Oo,
know. I'm
oo.
not sure. I can't remember. Yeah.
So parang ganon. So pagka isinasabi ko lang parang ganon, if you promise a woman dito sa kunyari dito, siyempre mga Pinay tsaka mga Pinoy, minsan nagkakaligawan, pag pinangakuan ng marriage, no, kung wag lang nag-set ng date tapos in-Indian, yun ang damages, attorney. Pero yung the mere fact na
Yeah.
hindi mo tinuloy yung kasal mo doon sa tao, hindi actionable wrong yun, no?
No, it's not. Unfortunately, no. It's not a commercial contract. Hindi po siya commercial contract. It's, hindi rin siya, unless as I've said, may mga economic losses and you'd say, we go into the nitty-gritty ng promissory estoppel, and all of that. But by law, hindi po. Kasi they would say na, you still have, hindi pa naman ikaw. It's more of, okay, I would think about the contract, which is the marriage. I promise to get there, but we're not really there yet. The contract in itself is the marriage contract.
Well, kung may contract na, you're there, ano na yun, masama na yun dahil ano na, di ba? And
The
then,
divorce na yun.
divorce na yun, no? Pagka ganon, di ba?
They're very expensive.
Divorce na yun,
That's
no?
very expensive.
Oh,
Yeah.
in the UK, depende ano, divorce is either depende sa hindi mo pwedeng sabing divorce in the UK is expensive, no? Hindi naman, no?
It's not really. Hindi naman po. What's expensive is arguing about the division of money. That's when it gets very expensive. The divorce in itself is fairly straightforward. and fairly relatively inexpensive kumpara dun sa iniisip natin sa Pilipinas na annulment or dun sa financial dispute dun talaga
Yun ang issue.
nauubos.
Oo, yun ang
Yun
issue, no?
talagang nakakaubos ng pera.
Kung
Nakakaubos ng
wala silang
hangga't
pera pareho, kung walang masyadong paghahatian, madali lang yan. Pretty straightforward
madali
ba
lang
yan,
po.
attorney?
Madali lang.
Napakadali lang
Really.
mag-divorce dito sa United Kingdom.
Fairly easy. Fairly easy.
Fairly easy. All right. Oo. So dito no, walang problema sa atin, wala pang divorce, di ba? The only way that
Wala.
annulment na ginagawa nila kung gusto nila
The
mag-asawa
last
uli, no? To free themselves, especially kung merong kamukha ng mga babae o depende, lalaki din na merong prospect na may mapapangasawang kunyari
correct.
halimbawa mga foreigners, no? Mga ano yan, no? Minsan pinopondohan sila ng mga kanilang mga
Yeah.
magiging susunod na spouse, no, to work on their annulments.
Yeah.
Pero dito ba kung walang masyadong monetary consideration, walang masyadong kids na pinag-aawayan, madali lang ba yan? Kaya lang ba ng less than 6 months yan o ano?
Doon kaya. Kaya now dahil COVID, probably medyo mabagal lahat ng sistema ngayon. But pre-COVID, kaya pa. Kaya pa. Last 6 months.
Kayo, attorney, yung mga ngayon, kamusta ang legal system? Kayo halimbawa ikaw, yung mga cases ka, paano ngayon? Merong korte, ano na ngayon ang isenaryo ng field mo, ng batas,
Yeah.
ng mga legal, yan, yung mga korte-korte, mga hearing, paano na ang situation? Could you just give us an idea kung paano na ang situation ngayon?
Most of family cases are ongoing. Doon talaga inuuna ng korte. Mostly, and most importantly, mga children cases. Kasi yun ang talagang, kumbaga, we're thinking about the vulnerable, the young, and yung mga vulnerable of the society, domestic violence, etc. So those cases they tried really hard kahit nung lockdown to move it, and most of them were remote nung lockdown.
Mhm.
We're having more face-to-face hearings now, but a lot are still remote hearings. Medyo nasasanay na sila doon. Even mediation, yung mga out-of-court settlement, we've done remote mediation hearings as well. So civil side, the court is dealing with a lot.
Okay, mukhang nawala yata si attorney, no? Medyo nawala yata si attorney. Na-free si attorney. Dali lang, tignan natin, no? Aha. Okay.
Easier,
Ayan,
etc. But
nawala ka, attorney, for a
really,
few seconds
30
yata, nawala ka.
seconds.
Oo, mga
Can
siguro
you hear me
mga
okay?
5 to 10 seconds yata nawala ka. Oh. Yeah,
Can you hear
balik ka
me
na.
okay?
Nabalik
Yeah,
na
so,
tayo. Sige.
yeah, the civil courts, I'm just gonna say, the civil courts, medyo, hindi pa sila nakakabalik dun sa dating rhythm nila. Kasi I think what happened is that yung family courts ang talagang ninuna muna. The civil courts are still trying to find their groove. Madaming backlog possession proceedings. Yung possession ng mga landlord, they were frozen for a few months. The same in commercial property then, for forfeiture ng mga leases, they were frozen for a few months. It's like most processes, hindi, kumbaga, I'm sure they're taking their precautions, and that's the reason why nahahamper yung usual na pace. May COVID pace, lahat tayo may COVID pace, but for us, we're very busy. Business as usual, in a safe way of delivering the service. Very health first and family first. But equally the clients, especially family clients, may mga needs. That's the reason why yun yung topic ko ngayon. Maraming disputes na naresulta sa COVID, sa bagong normal na to. And kailangan nating i-address, and more so address as efficiently as possible, na hindi na natin kailangan pang patagalin yung mga debate, because life is short. That's what we're facing every day. Life is short. There are more important things in life. Your family, your loved ones, your safety. So yun yung kumbaga ina-underline every day. If we can find constructive solutions na hindi natin sobrang masar yung isa't isa.
Mm.
Let's do that. Let's
Pero,
do that.
okay, attorney, well, siyempre, gusto natin, life is short, gusto nating mapabilis ang mga proseso. But from your experience, what kind of a case, anong mga cases ang would drag on for a long time? And ano ang mga reasons niyan kung bakit nagtatagal? Ayaw siguro magkasundo o ayaw, ano ang mga pinakamatagal? Let's say, if you have to say, name a case, ito normally, sabihin mo kunyari na these are the cases na medyo matagal. Meron ba?
Okay. Yeah, meron.
Oo.
Complex personal injury cases are normally takes very long. Ano yung complex personal? So, kung may brain injury, yung na-paralyze ka, when it would take, you're waiting for your client to have the final surgery para makita mo yung long-term prognosis niya. So, it may take 2, 3, 4, 5 years. So, hinihintay, pinifreeze niyo yung kaso to wait for that final prognosis. Kasi ayaw mo namang mag-settle kung hindi mo alam kung yan na ba talaga, yan na ba yung final permanent damage sa kliyente mo. So, the nature of the case in itself tends to, yun yung nag-entail ng the length ng case. So, you wait for evidence to be flushed at the final prognosis. Litigations of family litigation, family financial dispute resolution, just by itself, depending sa client, it tends to draw out because, high emotions, parties not wanting to make a deal, and kung ayaw magbigay ng disclosure, so move sa hearing, and that's when dun yung tendency na mag-extend for a protracted period of time. Normally, it's complexity of the case at value ng case ang nagdi-dictate ng length, and yung
Value.
appetite ng
Oo.
parties to settle.
Okay. If they don't want to settle, they want to lengthen it, yun, yung appetite. That's what appetite means. So, okay.
Appetite ng parties to settle.
Ayan, napapakinggan ho ninyo, no? May ganun ang mga reasons, no? Kung bakit tumatagal. Okay, I think ko lang, pa-commenting ko lang to si, nag-comment lang si Arnel. I think he's a nurse dyan sa Ireland yata. Sabi niya, Kuya, my son is asthmatic since he was young. But he has been treated with the help of, kasi nga, pinag-usapan natin yung pareho tayo pala nagkaroon ng asthma, no? May asthma. With the help of inhalers, steroids, and antibiotics, no? He is 14 years old now and okay. Plays rugby and uses only inhalers if he feels wheezy. Swimming is a good treatment. Nagsiswimming ka ba, Tony?
Hindi po.
Oo. Hindi ka marunong lumangoy?
Hindi.
Ay, pareho pala tayo. Wala pala tayong pinagkaiba, Tony. Hindi. I really don't know how to swim, really, honestly. Ilang beses na ako lessons yata nung when I was young, siguro mga 3 or 4. Pati Red Cross, yung mga kanilang mga swimming lessons pag summertime eh. Hindi ba? Oo. Pag nag-swimming ko sa swimming pool, nandun lang ako sa gilid. Kaya malinis sa swimming pool pag nag-swimming ako yung gilid, lalo na. Kasi dun lang, medyo nasa gilid ka lang, umiikot-ikot. So hindi ka pala, pareho pala tayo. Pero nakaka-float ka ba ng konti? I-floating lang, yun na lang ang alam natin. Hindi pa rin.
2 seconds.
May tao talaga, no? Talaga, ayaw ko, bakit hindi ako natuto talaga, attorney? One of my frustrations in life yan. Kasi naiingit ako sa mga iba, nakakapag-swim, ang gagaling nila mag-swimming, So, okay, sabi niya, swimming is a good treatment daw. Okay, kaya natin binabanggit, no? Be it an indoor people or at the beach in summer. Here in Ireland, we live 5 minutes drive from the Atlantic, and I take my children to breathe the air by the seafront, especially during the start of the pandemic. Asthma is an eminently controllable illness daw. Indeed, for
Correct. Yeah.
for
Thank you,
most
Arnel.
sufferers, control is so effective that it amounts to a virtual cure. But
Yeah.
asthma is not curable in the same way as, say, as a bacterial pneumonia. It never entirely goes away.
Correct. Yeah.
Bilang binawi, parang maganda yata sinabi niya nung una, biglang bumawi yata. Indeed, for most sufferers, it's so effective that control is so effective. Ayan, oo. Well,
Thank you, Arnel. Salamat. And ang galing, nagra-rugby. Look, nagra-rugby yung anak niya. That's sobrang very physical game. Nakakaano talaga.
may
Nakakaya pa rin.
may kasabihan daw diyan eh, pagka yung mga ano, yung rugby is football is for boys, rugby is for men. Sabi nga nila, no? Kasi
Gentleman's game.
oo,
Yeah.
bugbogan niya. And haven't you noticed in those posh schools, yan ang game nila
Yeah.
actually rugby compared
Yeah, they
to
play
football.
rugby.
Oh, they play
Yeah.
more of rugby than football sa mga posh na eskwelahan, ha? Na mga
Yeah, sa mga
ganyan.
private school, it's
Mga
very
private
much ang
schools.
ano nila.
Oo, rugby ang talagang nilalaro nila. At yung mga ano, lalo na pag may mga games na rugby, yung mga dating nung bata ka pa siguro nung andito ako nung nanalo ang England sa rugby. Na
Sa
balitaan mo yan?
ano, wala pa
Andito ka
yung
na ba
World
nun?
Cup ng rugby. Yeah, yeah, andito na. I don't know kung andito ako, but uh,
Andito ka na ba?
rugby match, di mas naintindihan ko kaysa
2000 na yun.
football.
Mga kailan ba yun? Basta mga between 2004, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, mga ganun.
Yeah.
Kailan ka ba dumating dito?
2007 po.
Baka yun. Ang
2007.
panahon na yun.
Yun na lang,
Panalo.
malaki yung rugby na
Pa-
Seven Nations, Seven Nations ba yun? Every
Hindi. This
January
is the
ba yun?
world. Seven Nations will be
World Cup.
just seven nations. This is the World Cup talaga, World Cup. At ito was held yata, hindi ko alam kung sa Australia ba, sa maginanap yun. Nakalimutan ko na, no? Oo, nanalo ang UK. Ang England, I should say, dahil divided sila, no?
England. Yeah,
Pagka may games, di ba, hiwa-hiwalay, Scotland, hiwa-hiwalay ni
Opo,
Wales,
England.
oo.
Yeah.
Nanalo sila. And pagka napakinggan mo, yung mga nagsasalita sa football, parang parang iba, parang mga kanto-kanto lang eh. Pero yung dun sa rugby, talagang very posh sila magsalita eh, di ba? Pag sumasagot, di ba? Yung mga
Yeah.
rugby players,
Yeah.
very posh. Oy, did you
Correct,
know that
yeah.
we have a Filipino, half Filipino, taga Cagayan de Oro ang ma'am, na ano siya, star player ngayon sa rugby. His name is Marcus Smith. Have you heard of him?
Okay, well, we'll watch. Yeah, galing.
Oh,
I like
Marcus.
rugby.
Maganda rugby kasi bungguan talaga. At saka ang rugby dito talagang physical masyado, di ba? Unlike ang rugby,
Yeah.
yung football sa American football, they're covered
American.
talaga. Di ba? May cover. Dito walang cover. Talagang kita mo yung dugo, no?
Tapos wala talaga, parang wala lang sa kanila. And then,
Wala sila.
they
Oo, wala.
shake their hands after. Yeah.
Oo nga. Di ba? Wala silang covering. Hindi ka mukha ng American football. May mga paddings, di ba? Pads. Meron pang helmet. Talagang matibay, no?
Yeah.
Pero,
So,
well,
parang yung scrum, may tinataas silang tao, tapos para saluin yung bola. I think that was the scrum.
ang scrum yata, attorney, yung yung nagsasama kayo, may may
Scrum.
bato, may bola sa ilalim, tapos ano yata yun, parang yung pinapass nila, gano'n, di ba?
Pass
Oo.
nila yan.
Di-
Scrum, yeah. The scrum.
So, hindi ka marunong mag-swimming, pero anong sport mo? Aside from, yan, hindi ko kayang tumakbo, yung ginagawa mo na, you said, doon sa sa 10th mile ba, o kilometer mo, o
Yeah.
doon pa
Out of
yung mga
42.
feeling mo yata, tapos, so ano ibig sabihin nun? You're running marathon ba? Have you run a may mga medals ka nakikita ko. Nag-run ka ba ng marathon?
Tatlong beses. Three
Wow.
times po.
Talaga ha?
Yeah, I
Wow.
did.
Hindi ka naglakad? Talagang you were running?
No, you have to, lalo na pag iinom ka ng tubig, kasi you
Oo.
need to drink. May mga water stations. Ang
Oo.
sinasabi nila talaga, tumigil ka para hindi ka mabulunan. Drink it properly and then go run.
Pero aside from that, hindi ka naman talaga yung part of the marathon, you would be walking. Hindi, talagang tinatakbo mo yan, attorney.
Most of the time, yeah. Kasi may cut-off po yan eh. May cut-off.
Okay. Pero when you train for a marathon, how long do you train? Is it hanggang ngayon, although kung wala man marathon, is it like parang something that you disciplined yourself already, or parang nasa ayo na talaga nagra-run ka? Parang you don't prepare only.
2-3 years po na ganyan. So I'd start running January after Christmas. After yung mga pagkain ng Pasko. And normally, yung marathon would be April or May or June. So spring season is marathon season po yan. So you'd go 2 to 3 months, ideally 4 months, but depende sa trabaho, at least 8 to 12 weeks, maybe more. At least actually 12 weeks na nagra-run ka. Kasi ang gagawin niyo yan, Mr. Laragan, you build up into it, you build up your mileage, and then you taper papunta dun sa marathon. So you reach yung peak ng training mo, and then kailangan mong ikalma yung sarili mo coming up to it para hindi ka ma-injure.
Kailan ka nagta-taper off ba? A week before, 2 weeks before? Paano 'yon?
No, mga 3 weeks po. 3 weeks before, two
Ah,
weeks before you start tapering.
you
Yeah.
start tapering. When you say na-reach mo na yung ano, are do you say that you ran a whole marathon do sa pag-peak mo or you doubled a marathon run? How is it?
No, ako hindi. Three
Oo.
quarters. So, I ran longer than a marathon in the past.
Okay.
When I ran the ultra. When I ran the ultra, ang ano po doon, ang training doon, parte ng training ko sa ultra is to finish a marathon in the span of 6 months. And parte ng, kumbaga, iha-half mo yon. So, hindi, not necessarily complete mo yung marathon sa practice mo, but at least enough. For me, ano lang,
Hmm.
medyo, sabi ko, saling-pisa lang po ako. So, I do what I can, depende sa trabaho ko, but para ma-reach mo psychologically, alam mo
Mhm.
na andun ka na hindi ka na point of no return na. So, say for example, normally about 75% nung ano, for me, but that's, hindi, saling puso ako, I'm not a personal
Ah,
trainer. I think I've
hmm.
seen a few Filipinos, madaming Pinoy runners dito, and I'm sure they can give you a better training schedule. Do train. Yun lang po yung sinasabi ko. Mag-train po kayo because
Hmm.
it's very dangerous. Pwede kayong ma-injure kung you just turn up and run a marathon in the day.
Okay. Ako, I was able to run, build up my stamina, no, endurance siguro up to 30 minutes dati.
Ah, okay.
Oo. So hindi ako hinihingal. Pagka, 'di ba, medyo may hahabulin kang bus, tapos napatakbo ka ng biglaan dahil ano, kaya ko, hindi ako
Yeah.
hinihingal. Pero nung mahinto ako saglit, attorney, wala na, nahirapan na ako. And then when I went back to running, yung right heel ko, parang ganun, ang sakit pagka tatakbo lang ako ng konti. So, magiging lingering pain yan for a few days and a few weeks siguro.
Talk about injuries.
Oh, may injuries ka rin ba?
I have
Konti?
to experience. Yeah, right. Yung right knee ko po, it gets problematic kung na-overtrain yung yung whole
Ah,
right
okay.
side ko. It's problematic. But it's okay. Yung part ng adventure is pushing past the pain.
Pwede. O nga, part
Yung
din ng
ganun.
adventure ko niyan, di ba? Pero when you discover a place, naligaw ka, o di okay yan, di ba? It's not
Ay,
wasted
actually,
time. It's
meron
part also, that's the thrill of it, di ba? Pag naligaw ka. And so, having this,
naman.
some pain, okay lang. Sabi nga, di ba? No pain, no gain, di ba? Sa mga, lalo na sa mga bodybuilders or
Ano.
people who are, ano, di ba? Exercising sa kanilang mga muscles, no? So, ayan.
Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
okay, bago na tayo mag-wind down siguro, ano ang plano mo for the weekend? What do you do? Do you do some exercises, attorney? Ano bang ano bang, meron ka bang, is it always the same or nagpaiba-iba yan, yung routine pag weekend?
I have been trying to medyo boring yung buhay ko ngayon because since lockdown and
Oo
work's
nga,
been
COVID, no?
a bit crazy. So I've been catching up with work either Sunday. I do it as my reading time ng cases ko. So Sunday, I don't normally do that either. Sometimes I go for a walk or hindi medyo iwas din ng gym muna ngayon eh. It's trying to be on the side of caution. Sometimes I see friends depende sa workload. I used to go to the gym nung pre-COVID and when work allows for it. So yeah, that's medyo iba nga, iba talaga ngayon, Mr. Sunny, iba yung ano na nawala din sa routine. Nawala sa
Ayan,
routine ngayon.
well, okay. Well, weekend. Ngayon, actually, simula ng weekend na, di ba? Para sa
Oh
atin.
yeah, for
Oo
sure.
nga pala, oo
Friday,
nga
no?
pala.
Baka
Oo,
mag-run ako
Friday.
tomorrow. I'll try because yung team member ko, they're all runners. So,
Okay, okay.
nakaka-
Well, well, sige. Okidoki. Oh, siguro, attorney, siguro magpa-ano na tayo. It's Friday night, siguro magpaalam na tayo. Baka meron kayong mga additional na gustong i-anunsyo o yung mga shoutouts or anything or you would like to, may gusto ka pang sabihin, go right ahead, attorney.
No, I just want to say keep safe, everyone. Um, Stay healthy, stay safe, and let's all keep looking out for each other. Tayo-tayo lang din naman dito. And I hope to see you all next week. It's always a pleasure to be here.
Ayan, akong buhay, mabuhay. Thank you very much, attorney. Yes, I'm really, really happy and glad no magkasama tayo for today for our legal advice corner no. At kita tayo regular sa Tuesday na ho ulit no. Balik tayo sa Tuesday ulit no na para sa ating regular na legal advice corner. So maraming salamat attorney no sa ngalan ho ni attorney DANNA Quinto para sa Legal Advice Corner. Ito po si Sunny Laragang nagsasabing thank you very much sa inyong pagsubaybay ho sa amin ngayong Friday sa amin dalawa ni Attorney DANNA Quinto. So for the Legal Advice Corner, kita-kita ho ulit tayo for Tuesday, no? And for the Sunny Laragan Show on Monday. Ayan ho, balik na ho tayo. And abangan ho ninyo, meron tayong konting papremyo. I-anunsyo natin for the next few days, no? And we're gonna be winning kayo. Yung mga families sa Pilipinas can win at least siguro mga 3,000 pesos, kanya mga 50 pounds or 50 euros, no? Open to sa buong Europe, attorney, no? So this is not only confined to Filipinos, Pinoys in the UK, but this is open to all kababayans, mapa Greece, mapa Norway, mapa Switzerland, o mapa France. Open ho kayo, pwede ho kayo makapanood, and we're giving away prizes like hotel stays, no? Resorts, mga balikbayan boxes, and of course yung mga ipamimigay natin sa inyo mga kamag-anak, mahal sa buhay, mga 3,000 pesos, mga apat yan, so mga 12,000 pesos every week pamimigay natin sa mga mahal nyo na sa buhay sa Pilipinas. Pero kailangan manalo kayo dito. Okay? All right. Thank you very much. Sa ngalan ni Attorney, kikita-kita ho kami sa inyo. At enjoy. Have a nice weekend. God bless. Take care. Mabuhay ho kayo. Bye.
Wuhan. Thank you. Good night.